This is a new Paladins tier list. I'm going to start up the top. Grover's still one of the best healers in the game right now. Deep Root is still being used after it's being nerfed. Atlas is still one of the best off tanks in the game. He can rewind people, get a 4-second cooldown, 5-second cooldown on his barrier, and his rewind has like an explosion AoE, so you're pretty much guaranteed to always get a cooldown. Fernando is probably the best point tank in the game. It just takes forever to destroy his shield, and while you're trying to get him off point, you're being blasted at, so the point is just being taken, so it's very difficult to deal with Fernando. Cass, Leon, Vatu. Cass is like the best damage champion in the game right now with Leon. They buffed Cass, so she has more. Her bolts on her crossbow have like more range. I mean, they're wider, so they can hit targets better. Leon just has to slide back and forth. She doesn't have to aim to get free damage. Vatu has insane damage reduction. You can throw his smoke bombs to get damage reduction. His ambush gives damage reduction, and they stack together. So you throw bombs in the new ambush, and you take like no damage whatsoever. You can teleport almost like 6 times in a row. Like Vatu's insane right now. He's probably gonna get nerfed again. Dumba's another best healer in the game with Spirits Chosen. He can out-heal a lot of other healers in the game. Barrack is probably still one of the best point tanks in the game with Fortify. It's very hard to break his barrier, and even if you do break it, he's healing like 100 HP a second with his turrets. Terminus is another good point tank. Since you can't destroy his shield, he's just going to stand on point, and it takes forever to destroy his shield. All you can do is pick Tyra or someone else to counterpick him, or like Sky. Anar is one of the best point tanks in the game. You just have to know how to play Anara. It takes a little bit more skill, but you use her if like Barrack is banned or the other team has Barrack. Mother's Grace is used a lot because you're just immune to all stun, you take less damage, and other characters cannot ultimate you like Ashe or Khan. Like you use Mother's Grace and Khan can't do anything to you, and Ashe uses her ultimate and you have Mother's Grace, like Ashe can't do anything to you. Khan is still one of the best off tanks in the game with Storm of Bullets. He just causes chaos, and he's very good right now. He can block, negate damage, and then heal himself. It's very hard for like these other flankers to deal with Khan because he'll just put up his shield and heal himself. Vora is also one of the best flankers in the game besides Vatu. She can travel anywhere with her blood vines. She can use her ultimate to like fully restore her HP, so it can be pretty annoying to deal with her. Cirrus is still one of the best healers, even though people don't think so. She's still used a lot in Grandmasters and Masters. If people didn't think she was so good, they wouldn't be using her like all the time. Since Andrew got nerfed, he's not as good as he used to be, but he's like in between top and mid tier right now. The only problem is like dealing with Leon and Cass can be kind of annoying, especially Vatu also, since Vatu can teleport around Andrew constantly, and Vatu takes like no damage. It's one of the reasons why Vatu gets banned a lot in ranked. Tyra is, since her nerf, she's still okay. She's just not as good as Cass or Leon right now. She has no mobility, but she still takes damage reduction from her grenades, which is nice, so you'll always have damage reduction. Makoa and Ashe are like tied for like off tanks. Koa use like a hook build, and Ashe, she's also like an off tank. You don't have to stand on point with Ashe. you mostly play him as like a damage champion. There's been a lot more Shaolin play lately in Masters and Grandmasters. I think people are just getting better with Shaolin, but you do see him a lot in the high ranks. Corvus is using a lot more since he got buffed. They're using spreading influence, his cards that give lifesteal, your allies lifesteal, and your allies walk speed like plus 12%. He's mostly used with other healers like Dumba or Grover or Cirrus. I wouldn't recommend using Corvus as a solo healer if he's the only healer. You want to wait and see if someone picks Dumba, Grover, or Cirrus, or Ying. Ying also, I think, is mostly benefits from being a secondary healer with her lens build. Anami is being used a lot right now in Masters and Grandmasters, so that's why I'm putting her in top. Like, you see her a lot more right now. Ruckus is a very interesting choice in top tier, but you see him almost every single game in like Masters and Grandmasters with aerial assault. There's only like 2 maps he's not good on, because with aerial assault you want to get to the high ground. Tiberius is kind of like the bottom of the top tiers. Since he got nerfed, he's just not as good as Cass and Leon right now. And these are the mid tiers for right now. Like, Jenna still needs another buff. And Furia is okay. I wouldn't recommend using her as like a solo healer or Genos. They're kind of like secondary healers. But Furia with Exterminate can still one-shot people, and her Wings of Wrath can give it cooldown so you can throw like 2 beams in a row. She's kind of like played with Dumba, Grover, or Cirrus, but for the most part you just get walk speed and cauterize. Canessa's kind of like mid-tier. The only reason why is she's not played as much as these other damage champions. The problem with Canessa is she's map dependent, like Timbermill she's really good on. Like Timbermill, she always jumps up to top tier. But for the most part, these other damage champions are better. Ray, the new champion who's a healer, is kind of mid-tier. The reason why is she's still not as good as Dumba, Grover, or Cirrus. Cirrus can turn invisible whenever she wants, and like Dumba and Grover can out-heal Ray. Grover deep roots can still destroy people. Once Dumba gets his stun up, he's like very dangerous. He can stun you whenever he wants. But for the most part, Ray is kind of like, she's like mid-tier right now. Maeve is getting a little better. I'd say Maeve just needs one more buff. The only problem with Maeve is like trying to deal with these other top tiers, like especially dealing with Atlas and Khan. Like if you're dealing with Atlas and he gets you down to low HP, and you heal yourself, he's gonna rewind you and put you back down and just blast you. He also has an indestructible barrier. Khan is also kind of annoying to deal with, since Khan can just block your damage and then heal himself. So Maeve has issues too with like Cass and Leon, since Leon doesn't have to aim and Leon can slide back and forth and just keep blasting you. And Cass can, for the most part, she can 2 or 3 shot you with her impulse blast shot build. So you have to be careful. Moji is mid-tier right now. You just have to be careful once she gets close to you, because in a couple seconds you're going to be taking 1,000 damage. So if you're having a hard time dealing with Moji, just pick Drogos or Canessa or even Strix. Like the snipers and Drogos, or even Andro, like anyone who can fly above Moji, or just pick a sniper and you're pretty much good to go and you'll destroy Moji all game. Bomb King kind of has the same issues too. Like Bomb King has a hard time against snipers. Shaolin also you have to be careful of, because Shaolin will turn invisible and just 2-shot you. So for the most part, Bomb King is still kind of mid-tier. I think Bomb King needs another buff. I think he needs... if I were to give Bomb King a buff, it'd probably be like faster walk speed. Like his damage is fine. His abilities are fine. He's just too slow right now. His like walk speed is incredibly slow. Rom is okay. He has the same problems he's always had. He can't do anything about being stunned, especially when there's like Dumba and Genos on the same team. Like you're gonna get stunned all day by Dumba, and then Genos is gonna void grip you all game. Especially like Khan too. Khan will like throw you off the map. He has a hard time against other off tanks because he can't do anything to them. Like if you try to fight Ashe, she can ult you and then stun you and knock you around. Like I said, Khan will throw you off the map, and Atlas can do whatever he... Like, it's very, very hard to fight Atlas's Rom. Because Rom has an indestructible shield. He'll rewind you. It's just an uphill battle. Evie is definitely still mid-tier in ranked. If you want to watch one of the best Evie players, Pyler, I'll leave a link in the description below, but Pyler makes Evie look god tier. Buck, Lex are still mid-tier. Lex, the problem with Lex is like he only has like one good ability, which he shoots slower but gets more damage. His other talents are not very good right now. And also, there's no real good reason to pick Lex over Vatu or Vor or Andro. The same thing with Buck. Pip is still like mid-tier right now. He just has like little problems. I think if I would to buff anything on Pip, maybe give him a little bit more HP. Other than that, he's fine. Octavia is still like whatever. She's like mid-tier. The only thing good about Octavia is her ultimate. But other than that, it's like she's still not as good as Cass or Leon or Tyra right now. The same problem with Victor. Victor has low damage on his assault rifle. I would give him like maybe a little bit more damage on his assault rifle, because right now his damage is pretty terrible. They buffed Strix, Strix's pistol, so Strix is okay. The only problem with Strix is he's not as good as Shaolin. He's definitely not as good as Canessa. So it's going to be a little harder to use Strix. Like, why would you pick Strix over Shaolin? Because Shaolin can pretty much do the same thing as Strix, but Shaolin does it better. Dredge also needs a buff. I don't know. His damage is fine. It's just, I think he needs like, not so much his walk speed, but some reason when his damage is so random. Like you don't know if it's gonna. You don't know sometimes if his damage is gonna hit or not. Like it's just so random. Like it's not consistent damage. Like if you're gonna nerf his broadside, you might as well give his projectiles like more, like a wider range or something, but keep his broadside nerfed. Zen needs a buff also. I mean, his billow is kind of ass right now. I mean, you let Vatu teleport 6 times in a row. You let Vora like vine grip across the entire map. You let Andro fly wherever he wants. And Evie teleports and flies. But what does Zen get? Zen gets a billow that lasts like 2 seconds. So it's pretty terrible. My battery's dying, so I'm going to have to wrap this up. Drogos has the same problems he always has. Hit scan characters counter him, and Andro just destroys him. Yagarath has her same problems. She can't do anything to like Tyra. And Timbermill, she's awful on. It's easy to counter her. Willow has a very hard time against Leon and Cass right now. Skye is mid-tier because they nerfed her, and I don't know why. I don't think she needed to be nerfed. Koga is still mid-tier. I think they need to give him a little bit more damage, because his damage is kind of terrible right now. and he's just not as good as Vatuv or Andro. Same thing with Talus. Talus needs, I think Talus needs faster walk speed. Grok got nerfed, so the only good way to play Grok is damage. Iowa's still mid tier. She needs another buff. Vivian is terrible right now. Her damage is awful. And Torvald is complete trash right now. He's just terrible. He's just not as good as Atlas or Khan or Ruckus right now. Even Makoa and Ash are better than Torvald. So there's really no good reason to use Torvald right now. So that's pretty much it for ranked on PC. Pretty soon I'm going to show builds, make a video on what builds to use for beginners and ranked. So that's going to be my next videos I'm going to be working on.